Now what we've done is we've mounted the RailPro locomotive module into the loco, and we've done this by using these little 3D printed standoffs, and we have a tray. This way it's elevated off the frame, better for radio performance, and then you're able to run the wires underneath it. So we added a connector to the front motor block to lengthen it, and it gets connected into the screw terminals, and there's two sets of screw terminals, motor 1 and motor 2. The rear motors, I just reused the connector that was for the wheel track pickups, that 4-conductor wire connector. Just reused it right here. So now we have our motors connected to the screw terminals, and next we also have our battery, and through its connecting cable. And what's mounted now, if we can get a little close-up shot here, but down below we have the charge jack, and we have the on-off switch is mounted over here. It was in the opening for the Phoenix programming jack. Here's a better shot of the charge jack, and the charge jack is mounted right here for your battery, and then down here the on-off switch for your power on and off, where the Phoenix program jack was originally installed. Just to do a quick review, this is a comparison again of, here is the AirWire SD70 drop-in board and how it was mounted right over here. In addition, there's the Phoenix P8 board, which was located over here. Both of these boards are now replaced by the single RailPro LM3-G locomotive module. And with one more comparison, if we were to look at the cost based on internet pricing, you will find these drop-in AirWire boards for $140, $150 a piece. The Phoenix board, they're $169 to $175. Alright, the RailPro module is $167. So it's quite a substantial savings, a little over $300 for this combination. This is $167. Here's a close-up of the installation so far, and you can see here on the screw terminals we brought in, as I mentioned before, the wires from the front and rear motor, the power from the battery down to the on-off switch. At this time the system is active, and we're able to start doing a test of our connection. At this time, what we're going to do is we're going to start up the RailPro system and show you how to add the new loco. First, we press our power button. Our screen lights up. We select the screen. All right, we select Find Product. You'll see it says searching and found. You'll see how quick this is. I hit exit. I go over here to locos, and now I look for the new loco, which is 1996 Union Pacific, and everything comes up on the screen, is in blue. So we now have a full signal, and you can see that the signal is full up here. All the icons for your lighting and sound effects. If I even wanted to go ahead and activate the bell, I can do that at this point. So we now have a connection. By pressing the Tools button, I was able to put in the name of the loco. Alright, and we just hit Save, and that'll save our settings. So when you go to add additional locos, all you do is hit the Find button, and everything is stored in the locomotive module so that you don't have to do any special programming or open up the loco, anything like that. Here's another installment of our installation of and comparing the AirWire to the RailPro installation. This time what I want to show you is I finished doing the wiring for all the lights. And so holding the RailPro hand controller, I'm going to select locomotives. I'm going to select the 1996, and you'll see everything lights up in blue. I have the power on, and in order to operate the headlights, the cab lights, the rear lights independently, and the ditch lights, I'm just going to show how that happens now. So the first thing we want to do is turn on our cab, and you can see that we have the cab and the number boards. We can turn on our front headlight if we're getting ready to go. We can also turn on the ditch lights, and then with the horn you'll see that the ditch lights flash, and the program is written so that they flash for about 12 seconds and then they'll stay on. A lot of the railroads run with the ditch lights on, especially around here, Norfolk Southern and CSX. But with your railroad, and I think the Canadians do it differently, you can then turn the ditch lights back off. Now what I wanted to show you is how the connections were made internally for the lights. Here's an inside view of the connections for the lighting. The RailPro module, as I stated earlier, is mounted right here on the standoffs that we can provide. And then your connecting cables that lead up to the cab, you'll see that there is a 4-conductor cable here, and two of the wires go to the cab light and the number boards, and the other 2 wires are connected to the headlights. Then down below, over here, we have another wire, and that's the one that goes forward to the ditch lights. And those are then connected. All these lights are connected to this wiring harness on the other end of the RailPro. And in review, this end of the RailPro is with the screw terminals. That's where you put your either your track power or your battery input power. And then you have 2 sets of motor outputs. So again, it makes the wiring so much easier to hook up at this point. Additionally, let me see if I can give you a little bit of a close-up here. Alright, and additionally, as I was starting to tell you, on the screw terminals, what we have here is, besides having your input power and the 2 motor connections, we have 2 screw terminals for 5+ voltage, and on this end we have what we call V+ and minus. So imagine if you're doing an installation and you have LEDs or 5-volt bulbs, you can connect them directly to the 5-volt outputs, which is what I've done here. These wires, we have our 5-volt plus going forward to the LEDs, and then we also have 5-volt plus going to the rear lights. On this end, there are 2 screw terminals, and they say V+. V+ refers to the power going into the module. In this case, we have a battery, so whatever the voltages of the battery, that's what V+ supports. So this way you could use it to run smoke systems, you can use it to run other lighting effects that need a higher voltage. So this concludes the installation portion of comparing AirWire to RailPro. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the hand controller, and we're going to go over the sound effects. This is where the real fun starts. Now that we've done the installation, and as an installer, I find it very straightforward, very reliable, the way RailPro does it. They support a lot of different lighting effects and voltages. so that any situation you should be able to handle. And whether it's in a USA loco, SD70, or another diesel or steam engine, or any brand per se, the RailPro module is pretty easy to connect up. Now what I want to do is transition over to the hand controller, and this is where, like I said, the fun begins, because you're going to hear what this is all about now. Imagine when we get the cover back on, we have a completed loco, and the sounds are unique to that loco. This portion of the video will be a sampling of all the different sounds. Right now you can see that the lights are on. We're then going to start up the prime mover. We'll get that warmed up. Then we'll start our bell. We'll give a couple of toots on the horn, and then we'll accelerate out of town. And then we'll do a grade crossing. What you'll notice is that this is an EMD 710, a newer generation, a 710 prime mover. It is a K5LL, 5-chime horn, and then a steel bell. So sit back and enjoy the sounds. Here we go. Shutdown. Now I'd like to show you some additional sound effects. So besides the primary sounds, we also have, get my pointer here, we also have dynamic brake. So we can fire up the dynamic brake sound, and we turn that back down off. Dynamic brakes are always pretty loud as they operate. So up they go and down they go. As I mentioned earlier, there are a total of 16 sound effects and lighting effects. So we go to the second page, we have sanding. Alright, now we have coupler clank. So if we're now tying up for the night, we can set our handbrake. And now we come back and we're going to release the handbrake and start up for the next day. And that's just a sampling. With the RailPro system, you can create your own sound effects using Audacity freeware, and you can mix whatever you can find out there, whether you record it yourself or you download it from a file of some public sound effects that are out there, and you can then add it into your module. Everything is done through this USB port right here, if you can see that, on the hand controller. Also, RailPro offers what they call a simulator. And the simulator is a USB stick. And you just plug it into your computer. In this case, I use an extension USB cable. It's easier to reach the locos when you're programming. And everything you see on the hand controller will come up on your computer screen. So whether you have a desktop, a laptop, or I even use a PC tablet for on-location type of programming, you're able to simulate every function that I've showed you so far from your computer screen. Now I'd just like to review what we've done in our comparison to the AirWire SD70 drop-in system and to the RailPro locomotive module for G-scale. Right now what you can see is a comparison of the transmitters, the AirWire T5000 and then the RailPro HC2B. We have a full color touchscreen here. We have a display. It's easy to read. Might be a little tricky on the camera. They both use a knob for speed control. You have your standard keypad to get into your functions. Those that are familiar with DCC, they know how down here you have functions and you can go from 0 to probably 24 or something like that. On the RailPro, what they have done is they basically mapped all the functions into icons and English. So you don't have to worry about wondering what the heck is number 2 or 3 or what is F12. Here you have an icon and it tells you exactly what you're looking for. And then all the adjustments that are made here, again, you don't need to worry about CVs and indexing and zeros and ones. Through the tools button, you would just go in and you would go to the different setups. Here we have a start speed, and if I select the start speed, all I would do is adjust this knob, and that creates the new setting for us. No CVs at all to have to remember or have to constantly going back and forth. No programming track, no service track, nothing like that at all. AirWire, by the way, does it much easier. From the DCC perspective, they have a really good interface because you can do all the adjustments right here, almost like real time, similar to the way RailPro does it, so you don't need a programming track or a service track. So they've definitely did their homework on that end of it. Okay, so that's sort of, again, a comparison. Right now, the T5000, I see it selling for on the internet somewhere around $150, $160. All right, the RailPro HC2B is $270. They also have a Sun version, and that was $297. That means that you know, when you use your cell phone outdoors, sometimes you can't read it. Well, their extra bright screen you can read outdoors. I'm going to move these out of the way, and now what we want to do is concentrate on the control system. All right, the AirWire drop-in board, as we said earlier, is a very well thought out idea. It's almost plug and play when you think about it, because you remove the USA circuit board, you drill a hole, that then allows you to mount this, and there's your charge jack for the battery, and then this is the battery on off switch. And then you have your connectors, which then plug back into the motors, and remember the lighting cables then plug into these white sockets. In addition to that, all right, and this sells for $130, $140, $150, depends on where you get it. Then you would have to add sound, and that's the Phoenix P8. That's the appropriate model for the DCC battery radio control environment. These you'll see anywhere from 265 to 165 to 175. So you would need these two boards in order to complete the installation. Now the Phoenix has been our standard for sound for since 96. Today though, the RailPro will rival it in sound quality. Its library is a lot more extensive, and the biggest advantage to the RailPro, well, the two advantages is one, it's free. This is $167 for the control system, the radio, and for the sound system. You would have to add that cost of the Phoenix to the AirWire board, and you're over $300, no matter how you do it. Also, the RailPro system, you can mix horns and bells, you can create whatever you want, you can download any prime mover that you want, and they have a variety of steams. Phoenix does have a benefit in that they've been around longer, and they have more narrow gauge steam engines like Shays, Heislers. RailPro is constantly adding more to their library. They have a light steam, they have a heavy steam, they have great whistles. They've got a 6-chime and a 3-chime, which is just dynamite. So folks, thanks for watching. That's my little review and comparing the AirWire system to the RailPro. The bottom line is this is $167 complete for each additional locomotive. If you're doing battery power, you would add the battery and what we call our battery install kit. Compared to over $300 for these two boards. Yes, there's an initial investment, just like with anything. You want to get that hand controller, and that's your color touchscreen hand controller. So thank you for watching, and any questions, please contact us at www.rcsofnewengland.com, and look forward to helping you with your next conversion.